My golden child sister got pregnant with my fiance a week before the wedding and my family took. I always thought my life was perfect. I had a loving family, loyal friends, and most importantly, a fiance whom I adored. We were planning our wedding for September 1st, and I dreamed of how we would happily live together. But a week before that day, everything changed. I remember that evening when my sister Lena came to me with unexpected news. We were sitting in the kitchen, drinking tea and laughing over old photographs. Lena had always been my support, and I could never have imagined that she would become the cause of my sorrow. "Listen, I have something important to tell you," she said, her voice sounding too serious. I put down my cup and looked at her with concern. "What happened?" I'm pregnant," she said quietly, looking down. At first, I didn't understand what she meant. We had discussed children, but it always seemed like something far off and irrelevant. Then it dawned on me, Lena was pregnant by Andrew. "How is that possible?" I blurted out. "You know we're about to get married." Lena raised her head, and I saw fear and guilt in her eyes. She didn't know how to explain how it happened. They had always been close, but I never thought there could be something more between them. "I didn't want this to happen," she said, her voice trembling. "It was a mistake. I don't know how it happened." I felt my world start to crumble. Everything I had built, all my dreams for the future with Andrew, seemed to have evaporated into thin air. I stood up and left the kitchen, not knowing where to go. My thoughts were tangled, and I couldn't accept what I had just heard. That night, I couldn't sleep. I thought about how to tell Andrew. I knew he would be in shock and couldn't imagine how he would react. I decided I had to talk to him as soon as possible. The next day, I met Andrew at our favorite cafe. I was filled with anxiety and fear, but I knew I couldn't hide the truth any longer. We sat at a table, and I tried to gather my thoughts. "Andrew, I need to talk to you," I started, feeling my heart racing in my chest. He looked at me with curiosity. "Is something wrong?" I gathered all my strength and told him about Lena's pregnancy. I saw his face change, and his eyes filled with shock and confusion. "How could this happen?" he said, trying to comprehend the situation. "I don't know," I replied, feeling tears welling up in my eyes. "It happened, and I can't change it." Andrew stood up and began to pace the cafe, his thoughts clearly in disarray. I felt my soul breaking with pain. I knew he didn't want to deceive me, but now everything had changed. "You have to understand that this is not what I wanted," he said, stopping in front of me. "I love you, but I don't know what to do." I felt like my legs were giving way. I couldn't believe what was happening. We both understood that this situation was destroying everything we had built together. Days passed, and I didn't know how to behave. Lena tried to apologize, but I couldn't forgive her. I felt betrayed, and that feeling wouldn't leave me. My family, upon learning about this situation, tried to support me, but I knew everything would change. When I met with my parents, I saw confusion and worry in their eyes. They didn't know how to help me. My mom hugged me and said, "We will always be here for you. But you have to decide what is more important for you." I understood that I needed to make a decision. I couldn't just marry Andrew knowing he was going to be a father. On the other hand, I couldn't just leave him. I loved him, and he was part of my life. In the end, I decided to talk to Andrew again. We met in the park, and I tried to understand what he was feeling. He told me about his fears and how he wasn't ready to be a father. I realized that he was also confused and didn't know what to do. "I can't just walk away from you," he said, looking me in these. "But I don't know how to deal with this child." I knew we didn't have an easy way out. We were both confused, and every step seemed difficult. I suggested he think it over, and we decided to take a break to sort out our feelings. Time passed, and I tried to focus on myself. I started exercising, reading books, and spending time with friends. I realized I needed to find my own path regardless of what would happen with Andrew and Lena. Meanwhile, Lena decided to keep the baby and raise him on her own. She understood that it would be a tough road, but she was ready to take on the responsibility. I supported her, even though deep down I still felt hurt. Finally, after several weeks, Andrew came to me with a decision. He said he wanted to be there for us, but he couldn't take on the role of a father. He suggested we create a family where Lena would be the mother, and I would be his wife. It was a strange proposal, but I realized he was trying to do everything possible to keep us together. I thought about his words. Maybe this would indeed be the best solution. I understood that life doesn't always go as we plan. Sometimes we have to make unexpected decisions. In the end, I agreed to his proposal. Lena and I began working on creating a new family. It wasn't easy, but we tried to support each other. I knew we would have to go through many challenges, but I was ready. The wedding took place a few months later. It wasn't the day I had dreamed of, but I tried to be happy. Andrew and I exchanged vows, and I felt that this was the beginning of something new. Lena gave birth to a healthy boy, whom they named Sasha. I was there for her in that moment, and although it was not easy, I understood that we had become a real family. I loved Sasha like my own child, and I knew that together we could overcome any difficulties. Since then, several years have passed. Andrew, Lena, and I became good friends. We learned to live together, support each other, and build our new life. I realized that family is not just about blood, but also about those who are willing to be there in tough times. This story taught me that life is full of surprises, and sometimes we have to make decisions that change everything. I learned to forgive and love, and now, looking back, I understand that every difficulty made us stronger. We are still together, and I know that I can overcome any obstacles if those who truly matter are by my side.